Acting is hard. It may seem pretty cushy on paper, but there is a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and actors themselves have to bring maximum effort to a shoot. If they don't, they can literally ruin a movie, and then you're going to go online and criticize them. That is pressure right there. There are some people, though, who take to it like a fish to water. They don't actually have to try that hard. They're just good. It's in their bones. It means they can turn up and not go 100 miles per hour, or even care, and yet still come across incredibly well. They can even be a bit lazy if they want and still get away with it. I'm Simon from What Culture. This is 9 amazing performances by actors who stopped giving a damn. Number 9, Edward Norton from The Italian Job. Here's a fact for you. Ed Norton wanted nothing to do with The Italian Job remake. Fortunately, he had to because he'd signed a deal with Paramount Pictures, which meant if he refused, he would be sued. And believe you me, you don't want to get sued by a massive film corporation. Doesn't end well. After a lot of arguing and Norton's insistence that he wouldn't promote the movie in any way, he agreed to do it. And the proof of his consummate professionalism is right there on screen. Knowing this information, you can kinda see it bleed into his character, but it never comes across as bad, just as if he has a natural sense of mischief. He still feels part of the film and does a pretty good job. He could have just ruined it entirely had he wanted, but even Norton doing something he's not keen on is still pretty damn good. Number 8, Jackie Chan in Rush Hour. Rush Hour is one of those movies that's just happy being what it is. An odd couple buddy cop action film. The choice this time was to take Jackie Chan and put him in there with Chris Tucker. He was never going to win any Oscars, but it was a vehicle for Chan to introduce his skills to a Western audience, or at least an audience who weren't aware of how successful he'd been throughout China. Chan himself, though, wasn't a fan, admitting he mostly did it for the money. He also said he wasn't a fan of the film and was saddened that the Eastern crowd didn't think much of his set pieces. The American market loved it, though, which proved just how talented the man was and why it became a huge franchise in itself, which Chan did keep coming back to, and that just goes to show. Number 7, Chevy Chase in Community. Community showrunner Dan Harmon and Chevy Chase fell out constantly. Why? Well, Chase didn't think his character on the program was portrayed in the right way, and slowly but surely started to hate being a part of it, which is nice. According to Harmon, if Chase didn't get his way, he would become childish, stepping over co-stars' dialogue and then ruining takes on purpose. Actor Joe McHale even said he didn't think Chase wanted to be there, to the point if Joel tried to perk him up, Chevy would try and fight him. That's genuinely weird. However, all this petulance is what made Chase's character appear so irritating and brilliant to watch. In an odd way, this passive aggressiveness added to the show, and a huge reason for that was because Chase didn't give a damn. That's some talent right there. Number 6, Alan Rickman from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was awful. The script sucked, Kevin Costner's accent was nuts, and it didn't do anything to sell me on the hero of Nottingham. Thankfully, it had Alan Rickman in it. Deciding to play the sheriff as the most camp individual to have ever walked the face of this earth, he assured everyone it was alright to take this movie as just a bit of fun. After all, if he was having fun, why shouldn't the audience? Rickman delivers all his lines with an over-the-top menace you can't help but love, and it even hides the terrible dialogue. It's a masterclass in how to make the best of anything, and he does so without even realizing it. Straight up master, and he will be missed. Number 5, Orson Welles from Transformers the movie. And no, we're not talking about the one with Shia LaBeouf and his hair. We are talking about the original animated version from 1986, which is just awesome. Surprisingly, it also features some damn good voiceover work from the one and only Orson Welles. Taking on the role of Unicron, a man-eating super planet, each line is delivered wonderfully, even though it's pretty clear Orson has no clue what he's saying or what the context is. The man himself even described it to his biographer as, "I play a planet and it's about some terrible robot toys from Japan that just changed from one thing to another." So he had no clue what he was doing, and yet it didn't faze him at all, which is even more impressive because he was in poor health at the time. Number 4, Alec Guinness in Star Wars. It's no secret that Alec Guinness was not a massive fan of his appearance as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, reportedly despising the dialogue and feeling as if George Lucas didn't understand the characters he was writing for at all. He would complain about the production in letters to friends while filming, which isn't a good thing. You wouldn't have known by his performances though. He not only made Obi-Wan his own, but he dominated the entire franchise even though he's barely in it. Was a floating voice for much of it, or some weird ghost apparition. It's now one of his most fondly remembered roles too. Given his thoughts, I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. It may actually upset him a little bit. Sorry, Alec. Number 3, Marlon Brando in Superman. Marlon Brando kinda gave up towards the end of his career. For example, he didn't want to memorize his lines for The Godfather, so requested cue cards were hidden around the set and even on the chests of some actors during the actual scenes. He did care about that role though. He did not care when he stepped into the shoes as Jor-El in Superman. According to co-star Terrence Stamp, who played Zod, Brando asked on day one of filming if the movie had a good script. And he asked this because he hadn't read it. That proves that firstly, the actor had just stop caring, and 2, he managed to produce that performance without even reading the words on the page. That is pretty damn good, and shows how capable he was at his job. Number 2, Robert Shaw in Jaws. Robert Shaw is awesome because he's the first person to admit that he didn't take his profession too seriously. He also didn't take alcohol consumption seriously enough and was drunk a lot, drinking himself silly on a regular basis. He was also hammered when he did his famous SS Indianapolis monologue, somehow convincing Steven Spielberg that he should be tipsy for the whole scene. That's a new level of method acting. When he was sober, Shaw also loved nothing more than winding up his co-star Richard Dreyfuss. He'd spray him with a fire hose or convince him to jump off high things for money. And yes, you heard that right. Clearly, he wasn't that concerned with his performance, and yet still turned in one of some merit. Not sure many people could do that. Number 1, Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. Just to underline that Marlon Brando did give up after a while, he pops up again here and in the number 1 spot. The on-set animosity between Brando and directors Francis Ford Coppola is legendary. The tension was so high, there's even a documentary about it all. It all started when the Oscar winner turned up to play Colonel Kurtz, who was meant to be a lean and mean Green Beret, in horrendous shape. Furthermore, he didn't read anything to do with the movie and continually stopped production to question the script that he hadn't bothered to look at. And yet somehow, he turned in a legendary performance, and a large reason for this was Coppola. Dressing Brando in black and shooting him in shadowy lighting to hide his gut, he let him improvise until he had enough good stuff in the can. As soon as he was done, Coppola would just go to the editing suite and make it work. And he did make it work, and the movie is great, and it just kind of underlines that Brando had a special kind of laziness. Know of any other actors that stopped giving a damn? Let us know in the comments below, and then if you like, share and subscribe. You can even come tell me on Twitter at Simon316 or WhatCulture at WhatCulture. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and I will chat to you again soon.